as we have shared with all of you before, you are in a gestation period, and you will be attuning to the sacred holy womb code, for this is the cosmic mother, the space of emptiness, the void, the place of creation. And it is within this space that as you enter into this emptiness and attune to this cosmic vibration and frequency, you will begin to touch ours as we are descending rapidly onto your planet.
What about the essence of these plasma energies that are hitting the Earth right now are allowing us to expand into this evolution?
Well, they are coming from Mother star systems, and then they are interfacing with your sun. And then the sun is the transmitter. It is sending these plasmic lights, and you are receiving them simply by being here, as they are bombarding your energetic field and moving in on a cellular level, changing you at the level of the DNA.
Kelly, Kolodney, welcome back on Just Tap In. It's been a few months since we last talked, but I wanted to ask you again, what are you most excited about right now globally and in your life?
I'm just so excited to see so many people around the planet remembering and waking up. We had a Lion Gate event, and we had 4,000 people live. Wow. And it was just, it was so beautiful to have everybody's heartbeat come into resonance at the same time, and to just feel all that love and all that energy. And no matter whether it's in our little community or someone else's, all these little communities popping up all over the planet, holding these frequencies where people are gathering, and it's growing. Like, I can feel the energy growing around the globe, and that gives me lots of hope, and it's exciting. Yeah.
When you mention remembering and remembrance as a whole, what do you feel we're remembering right now?
I think we're remembering our truth, like our full authenticity, our divinity. And it's not easy to remember because the mind is so busy. But I think that there's more gaps of presence and stillness where it begins to flood in. And there's these moments where I call it sort of like a glitch in the matrix. And you get this glimpse and you're like, oh, right, now I remember why I'm here and who I really am and what's happening. And then it closes back down and we're in our 3D busyness. But it feels like those stretches, or Raphael would say the aperture of those openings is widening, and it stays open for longer periods of time before it shuts back down. And more people all over the planet are having those moments, and then they're kind of all linking together and creating this new sense of awareness. So for me, remembering is like looking in the mirror and be like, oh yeah, I remember, I get it, I know who you are, I know why we're here. Or I see people and I remember, It's like the tribe, before we got here, you see some people and you connect with them, and they can even be strangers, and you just remember them, you just know. Yeah.
I feel that's so interesting because it's almost like our soul or the higher self is planting little seeds in this 3D physical reality for us to, in a way, pick up certain bits of information that help us remember who we truly are as these magnificent, omniscient, eternal souls. And even in the lyric of a song that randomly comes on the radio could actually make you remember who you are. And you mentioned Raphael, and for those of the people that are new here today, who is Raphael, and maybe how has the messages that have been coming across through you with Raphael evolved in the last few months. And you told me that there's so much information coming through him right now. Her, them, they, that
everything.
that you wanted to share with us today.
Well, Raphael is traditionally, thought of as Archangel Raphael, the angel of healing. In a religious context, Raphael is a male with a green cape and, carrying a fish and is a healer. But Raphael says, when I connect with it, that it's a collective energy for healing and love. It's a spiral of white light that has no gender. That descends here into form to share messages and support us in our remembering. And how has it changed? I think that even Raphael had more of a construct in the messages, and that construct, even within spirit, is dissolving more, and it's coming in a new way that is more unified, it's more collective, it's more merging and part of everyone and everything. So it's not feeling as separate as an energy coming, but an energy awakening. And so perhaps in the origin of the messages, you think of it something outside of ourselves coming, with wings down, but now it feels like it's emerging, but not just through some of us, but all of us simultaneously. And so the message has been pretty intense, to be honest with you, that's been coming through. Raphael said in March of 2025, this year, at the spring equinox, that we had come to a choice point. It was sort of a signaling of the end of a cycle, and that 2025 would be this big year of completion. And was sharing the information as if we were in a gestation period between then and then we would come here into what would be approaching now as the fall equinox. And at the winter solstice of 2025, it would mark a culmination of this birthing process. And it's just been interesting that Raphael's been really following this theme through the whole year, through these 9 months. And we're kind of entering energetically now into that last trimester. And so I keep trying to understand, because sometimes it's hard, the concepts are so big, like what does that really mean? And it's a culmination of this deep purging and releasing and literally letting go of our old selves, and truly stepping over a threshold into our authenticity. And, it's not like on the day of the winter solstice, there will be this big birther event, but it is this energetic push, almost like a first wave of energy coming in that they're showing is just going to continue to accelerate in the coming years, and then maybe the next 3 to 5 years especially. It's just this major turning point, tipping point, and so many people are talking about the same thing. We're all picking up on the same thing, and it's just different ways of communicating and sharing it. But it feels that it's a pretty momentous and profound time right now that we're in, and we feel it, right? I feel it. I don't know about you, but yeah. I mean, as an interviewer of beautiful people like you that are receiving this information, it is really easy to find the common threads, and in a way we are all talking about this evolution of the species, the evolution of consciousness. I'm really interested to know if there's anything that you've maybe picked up on as a unique thread in your understanding of, or your deepest understanding of the truth of where we're heading as a species, where we're going as a humanity, that has come through you that you feel is this unique thread, because we're all unique threads in that way, and we're forming this tapestry. Is there anything that's been coming through for you from your own personal lens and your truth? Before today's transmission, I wanted to take a minute to let you in on something that could change your life. If you've been doing the inner work and still feel like you're walking this path alone, you're not the only one. Most spiritual spaces give you endless content to consume, but not a tribe to grow with.
That's why we created The Deep Dive, a living spiritual ecosystem designed to help you grow in community, rhythm, and real embodiment. Right now, our members are embarking on a journey exploring a core spiritual and practical teaching through daily activations, live community gatherings guided by me and our facilitators, and also participating in sacred challenges that are designed to help you live your practice and bring it to life. You'll be surrounded by seekers and leaders who've decided that they're done doing this work in isolation. If you're ready to find your people, visit the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen right now, and I'll see you inside.
It's this feeling that something is approaching. And I don't know how to fully explain it, but it's like something is approaching us. And it's really, really beautiful. And it's inviting us to elevate to enough of a frequency that it can touch us. That we've been hovering a little bit below in a certain vibration that even if it approached, we wouldn't be able to interface with it. But that we are elevating enough collectively within our own vibration as a whole to come to a place where we can feel and merge with this beautiful light that's coming in that will connect with us, and that will create a shift within our evolution in a way that something new will tangibly be born that we'll be able to perceive and see. And whether that's a new species, a new human, a new way of perception, a truly entering into a gateway of a completely new reality or experience. I don't know exactly how it will play out, but I can feel the pulsation of it getting closer and closer and closer, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it almost seems like it's not like we're gonna grow a tail and grow wings and become a completely new thing, but in a way, our capacities, and you talked about, or Raphael also talked about, the telomeres are changing, our telepathic abilities, that those capacities are also expanding. And you've had personal experience of those. If you want to let us into your expansion of those capacities that are glimpses of the future human and the new human that is on the horizon.
Yeah, I mean, I think so many of us are having those experiences. And especially when we consciously choose to connect with someone, or there's what I'm finding is a bleed through in realities. So I'll be communicating with someone, and the thought of whatever it is that they're having, not just that normal, oh, I was thinking of somebody and the phone rang, that kind of thing, but that we're connecting on many multidimensional realities and levels, and then it's bleeding through into this dimension, and we're able to communicate through it. Or experiencing when we are connected with someone really deeply what they're feeling, or mirroring exactly what's happening in their body, or hearing a conversation of somebody across the ocean or in another country with their family or friends, and be able to be like, whoa, I heard that. And it's like a bleed through into realities. And so all of that is happening, and it's happening to more and more of us, and we're stepping into that magic and beautiful frequency where everything around you is glistening. I mean, this summer I was just in Maine, and I remember just walking through the woods, and the trees were communicating and talking, and the stones and everything. And I can feel like a total crazy person, but sometimes I just stop and I'm like, oh my God, you guys, did you see that stone? And it has so much personality, and it's talking, and it has messages, and the water has messages, and the trees are saying things. And if you just surrender into it and are present and with it, it's so magical. And it's like everything feels sometimes as though it's completely coming alive, as if we're just stepping into a whole new way of being.
In other words, everything is already alive. We're just realizing that we're not the only sentient living beings around us, and that the elementals and then the trees and all these other things, they're burning with life, or birthing with life. And I wanted to ask you, because in your journey of channeling, was there ever a moment where you were really close to walking away from the gift and from channeling itself. And maybe what held you to stick with it and see it through?
I mean, there were moments where it took a toll on my body because I wasn't taking care of myself first. And that was a big lesson that I really needed to take care of myself if I was going to do this work. That there were certain things that had to be put in place in order for to be a real vessel with clarity. And so sometimes those moments where, gosh, this takes so much out of me. Is it worth it? Like I could just have a normal life. But then there was like, oh, if I could choose between one or the other, I would always choose to channel Raphael. And it feels so much just like why I'm here and what the purpose is of my being. And I genuinely believe that it's supportive and helps so many people that I would never give it up unless I absolutely couldn't do it. I mean, I will do it for the rest of my life, 100% till the day I die. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just who it is that I am.
There's a difference between a job and a calling. And I feel that when you say yes to the calling, you are in a way creating this merge of this mystical world and making that your life. And that's what you've done. And, you know, you're a sacred walker in special grid points around the earth. You've traveled everywhere, helping the earth stabilize in the grid system. I wanted to ask you because I was taking a look at the website, your website, and I saw these beautiful 55 master ascension light codes that you brought through. And I was wondering if we could maybe use those as an oracle and maybe choose one or a few to go really deep into today, because I've seen the pictures, I've seen what they say, and each one looks like a really deep packet of information that we'll see what, you know, synchronicities
So
lie ahead of us for this.
yeah, I have them here and I could pull on them. But yeah, they came through. Raphael woke me up obviously in the middle of the night and was like, these 55 are keys. And each key opens part of the light body for you to fully embody or complete light body. And then there will be 64, but the 55 is when you'll really step into the new light body 100%. And they just came through, and I was writing them down and writing them down and writing them down. And then my friend in India, who we're kind of like twin souls, she's the person that I can hear things that she's doing or talking to her kids or her husband or whatever. She's just started painting them. And what happened was my sister, who was my absolute soulmate and just unbelievable, passed in 2020. And right after she passed away, I got this package in the mail from this woman I didn't know in India. I knew nothing about her. She was like on some of my calls, but I didn't know who she was. And it was this picture, and I just kind of fell to my knees and started crying. And it was an image of a ladybug with an infinity symbol and lungs on it. And my sister would come, when she died, her house was just covered in ladybugs, like the entire whole front of the house. Same thing when her husband died. There was a whole thing about that. And she had an infinity tattoo on her wrist. And she died of lung issues. And so this person didn't know anything about it. And I just knew she was channeling and bringing in my sister's energy. And so then she just started making artwork for all the transmissions. And then it created these beautiful sacred images that were the other half of the transmission. And that created the 55 light codes. And then when we come together, we teach and share all the codes together. And they awaken things in people, and they're really, really beautiful, really special. Yeah.
Wow. Which one do you feel is asking to be seen today and integrated into this
Funny, the
conversation?
one that came up, which is not one that I'm not connected to, but I happened to just recently tune into, was transmutation and transformation with Saint Germain, and it it is this energy of Saint Germain sitting in what's called the accelerator chair. And it's a place where we can go energetically, a place that I've spent a lot of time over the years, starting back, I think I went on 777, 888, 999, 101010, and 111111 to Mount Shasta. Spent a lot of time there up in the mountain, and worked with this frequency and was able to energetically travel into spaces there and work with these flames of light that were transferred there after Lemuria. And during the transmissions, we worked with all 7 of these rays a few weeks ago, actually. And they were talking about how we were going through this massive releasing, purging right now on the planet, personally, collectively, globally. We all know that. But that the flames had been held as beacons of light through all this time for us. And that they were changing their guard. They were stepping back, which was so fascinating. It was like the ascended masters who had been holding this perpetual light and love for the planet and carried it and these codes for so long were not retiring, but they were kind of like, we're stepping back and igniting those flames within our own hearts, but that a new energy was arising on the planet. And it was a very deeply feminine frequency. And that energy that was coming up was very primordial, very much connected with the water, and that it was flooding the planet with codes of information, and that this was going to help us in our transformational process, that this deeply feminine energy that I don't usually so much work with or connect to has to come up, and that we truly are birthing something new, whether we're in a male body or a female body, and we have this feeling, this sensation like we're giving birth to something, and that as a collective we are literally giving birth right now to a whole new way of being. And we know that, but we can't always perceive and see it. Just like when we're pregnant, we don't see the baby growing, right? It's not until it happens, and we can't make it go faster or less. Like it has its due process. We just have to surrender to the divine and its perfect unfolding. And so this code was really fascinating for me, for them to step forward and say that. They were like handing over this lineage of this light that they had, torch that they had carried of love for the planet for so long, to another energy, which felt like a completion of something and an opening of a door to something new. And not that the old energy was bad and it was needed and perfect, but that the door was literally shutting on it and we were entering into something else.
And the accelerator chair, tell us a little bit more about that and how you've accessed that and what is it used for?
So it sounds so crazy, right? But you can energetically at night go to so many places around the planet, sacred places, and do all kinds of work. But in Mount Shasta, you can energetically enter into this place that some people call Telos. And it's a place that when you become familiar with it through spending time there in sleep time, it has different qualities and temples of energies that can be very supportive. So let's say you're really seeking healing in your body and you're not doing well, you can intend to go to this place and you will feel the masters come in. You will feel all the healers and the beings, and they will work on you and place their hand on you and bring in light, and the blue beings will come and the Syrian elders will come, and you'll really feel a shift, and you can go through profound physical healings and changes. But with the accelerator chair, that's a place where you can go. And we did this in class where we physically went through every single day a color and a code and a ray of light. And we would sit in our physical chair and I would bring through a transmission, and we would place water underneath the chair. The water would be infuse them with the transmission as I brought in Raphael, because it would create a shift in the structure of the water. And we would feel an energy rise up from beneath, down at the perineum, the kundalini, the shakti, and it would start to rise up through the body. And energetically, like almost a dial of the chair would be turned up, and you could feel the flame rising up through your entire body and transmuting, clearing, releasing, purging anything of a lower frequency in the body. And it would accelerate the process of you evolving and clearing and healing and elevating your vibration. So it simply was about choosing to go, sit there, connect with the masters, sit in the chair, and you physically feel it. And so however many people were in the class, I don't know, like 800 people, right? They would feel the energy coming up and rising through the body, and a lot of purging, transformation and transmutation. It's a very powerful tool to use, and it's one of the 55 light codes. It's just one of the tools.
And before we bring through Raphael today, would you recommend people to have water near them for the transmission?
Yeah, absolutely. I always have water. So have water, and then as the transmission comes through, if you're working with like a qigong master or something, they'll always tell you to have water next to you. And because if you're moving the qi or whatever you're doing, or the transmission comes, this changes the structure of the water, and then as you consume it, it moves into the cells and creates healing, obviously. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I know that this is a lot, and it was a little out there for people. So
not at all.
No? Okay. All right, cool. Before I bring in Raphael, I just want to pull one more and just see if there's another code that wants to speak to everybody. Oh, there's so many. So there's light language coming in. There's Lemuria with the dolphins. There's healing with Raphael. Sacred sites, ancient portals, all of these frequencies, plant medicine, they're all pieces of the puzzle. And when they all come together as one, and all those little pieces are awakened within us, it's like our light body just goes, like turns on.
Beautiful. Well, I would love to hold space for you getting into your process with Raphael and having that conversation, which I feel our first one was deep, and we'll see where this one takes us. So.
Okay, sounds good. All right, just for those listening, I'll make some toning sounds, then I'll say hello, and then whoever's listening, wherever they are in the world, please say hello back, and that's how the energy connects.
Beautiful.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, 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 hello. We are very delighted to be here and to attune to all of you and to connect in this moment, and are prepared to answer whatever it is that you are wanting to talk about. And so, what is it?
Beautiful. Thank you so much for the connection, Raphael. I wanted to start off with you asking, are there any new light codes that humanity is being prepared to anchor in the next coming months?
As we have shared with all of you before, you are in a gestation period. And you will be attuning to the sacred holy womb code, for this is the cosmic mother, the space of emptiness, the void, the place of creation. And it is within this space that as you enter into this emptiness and attune to this cosmic vibration and frequency, you will begin to touch ours as we are descending rapidly onto your planet. For we are coming in very quickly at this time, and there is a great acceleration. And yes, we must be able to enter into that space. You might even perceive this as is we are impregnating the vibration of the consciousness itself, as a new seeding is taking place at this time that is allowing an opening and an aperture and a vibration for energies that may be perceived from your perspective as avatars to begin to come forward and to be born on the planet. And some of these energies and beings that are arriving will come in physicality, as they will be children that are arriving here on Earth. However, it is that the energy also will be awakening simultaneously and collectively around the globe in many, for there are enormous shifts and changes that are coming in the months ahead, and opening up the space of this womb for the conception and the receiving of these energies as of great and most importance. Simultaneously, you will be attuning to the divine feminine vibration, for the container of that energy and the sacredness of that frequency is of great importance for this birthing process. And as that comes to a sense of completion at the closing out of the year, you will enter into a new phase, and the code in which will appear will be that of death. And death may feel frightening, and we are not speaking of the physical death, but the death of what has been, as a new beginning and a rebirth will be occurring and taking place. For until and up to this point, everything has been seen and perceived in ways in which it was outside of self, and you have brought in much energy and much information, and it has been collectively received within the energetic levels of your being. But now it is time, as you move into the new year, to integrate all of these vibrations and to step into the fullness of the authenticity of who it is that you are and the avatars that you are, as walking avatars and living libraries of light on the planet. And so there will be many places and spaces of communities that will be popping up all over your globe, so that you may be these walking frequencies, so that you may embody these codes and these energies. For the codes of the 55, in which I have shared with Kelly, are coming into the completion, meaning that she is reaching the halfway point, the 0 point of the transmissions of the 55, and the second half that will be transmitted after the year comes to a close and 2026 appears will be very different than the ones before, for they will not be coming so much from the perspective of something outside to be received, but an internal awakening that is taking place in an integration of what has already come, so that you are walking energy fields of what is. And these communities will be appearing everywhere. And as they appear, they are forming what we call a galactic being, an entire energetic being of itself that is forming a body. And that body then will begin to lift energetically as it is woven together through these spaces and times to give rise to a new perspective, as you will be changing your lens just the slightest bit to birth and to open spaces into new realms and new worlds that cannot be perceived from the perspective of where it is that you are in this now moment. And so the codes that are arising in the coming months ones, or the vibration and the spaciousness of the womb, and the energy in which you pass forward then into the divine feminine to give birth to energies that have been deeply suppressed and submerged beneath the frequencies in which they have not been seen in the darkness, as light shines upon them and opens up spaces for them to come to the surface, to be recognized for the truth of who it is that they are.
What are the signs to recognize these avatars that you speak about?
You will recognize something different about them immediately in terms of the ones that are coming as children. They will grow much faster. They will be perhaps evaluated on a scale that is a bit different. Their eyes are very deep and galactic. As you look into them, it is like looking into the cosmos itself, for the expression and the essence of their truth is there. They are often more androgynous and not as dedicated to particular gender, as their frequency is unified in the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Their vibration is clear and they are filled with potency and light. They will carry many gifts and the capacity to communicate as they come in as in clusters with one another. And so although you will be in relationship with them, they will have their own connections and relationships with one another that are coming in at the same time. And they come in with a remembering, meaning that they are not in a state of amnesia from where it is that they have arrived from, and will be able to carry the information from the places, spaces, energies, octaves, realities, and worlds in which they have descended from, in order to pass through energies that are being cared for by those in which they are still remaining in contact with. Their gifts will remain open and aware, and their communication will be different. They will spontaneously speak the languages in which connects them together, and be able to read the mind and attunement to those of their caregivers and those of their parents. Their vibration is filled with love, and they will not decipher or see separation in which others have in the past, but will only be able to see the essence and the frequency of those in which they come in contact with, without the lens of an idea of something in which should be perceived. For the structures of the collective that have been placed before them will no longer be operating in their system. However, it is the vibration that they carry and the energy that they hold will emanate light that will be like a wave of love that will flood the planet. And it is that they will warm the hearts of all of those that they connect to. There are some already that are coming into a specific age that will start to come into leadership, and there will be a great change in leadership, for the energies that are gripping and holding on so tightly now to the old ways will disappear, dissolve, and fall away, as there will be a great rising of many all around the globe that will be coming together collectively in the remembering of their true self and a need to express that self. And it will perceive or be perceived in the beginning as a very strong revolutionary energy. But after it moves through that process, it will come with a great sense of peace, beauty, and a light. And it is that they will rise up to be the leaders, as will many of you who are already physically embodied within your form. And the old guard in which we were speaking of will be disappearing and dissolving back and into the place in which it originated from, for it will no longer be needed as the energies to lead and to carry you forward. And so many changes in this way will be taking place, and you will start to see them trickling in the coming months and years, until there is a form of a new way of perception in the years ahead will be very, very different than the way you have known things to be to date.
You've also talked about how there are certain vibrations of plasma energies and lights that are bombarding our planet in an enormous rate right now, and that it is through our capacity, our intention to align with them, that will accelerate this process of our conscious development. What about the essence of these plasma energies that are hitting the earth right now are allowing us to expand into this evolution?
Well, they are coming from mother star systems, and then they are interfacing with your sun. And then the sun is the transmitter. It is sending these plasmic lights, and you are receiving them simply by being here, as they are bombarding your energetic field and moving in on a cellular level, changing you at the level of the DNA. And as we were speaking of before, creating an elongation within the telomeres themselves, as you are completely shifting and awakening into what is the fullness of your avatar or light body, or perhaps sometimes is perceived or understood in many regards as the rainbow body. And it is that at this particular moment in time, there is an energy that is approaching, but there are many, and some are even cloaked or placed in objects and in forms that are moving rapidly toward your planet to begin to interface with their vibrations, their elements, their energies, their sequences, their codings, their ancient wisdom, and their teachings with the sun itself, so that an exchange can be taken place. And as that exchange occurs, those energies then are transmitted from your sun to you, but they are also receiving energy from the sun and from you, for this is an exchange, and then that energy is returned back into the galactic core. For often you feel as if you here on Earth are the only ones that are moving through this rapid shift and acceleration that you speak of, or perhaps label sometimes as the ascension process, but you are not alone in this shift that is occurring. And you too, through your consciousness, your energy, your molecular structure, your own DNA, is also facilitating a change and is collaborating and supporting energetically other systems. So it is all interwoven together, but your sun is very much playing a part in between both energies, and is a place in which you can easily receive these plasmic frequencies that are needed for you at this time.
There almost seems like there are being presented to us two pathways in this ascension journey. You've called them the organic ascension, and the other is the artificial ascension. Could you please lay out a little bit about why we are being presented with this choice, and what may be the outcomes and ramifications of choosing one or the other? Not coming from a place of separation that one is better and one is worse, but why are we being shown these two paths as a collective?
Well, one is one in which you have done before. It is familiar, and it is a cycle of repeat. It is one in which energy comes in and one is lured into the idea of this frequency and can be embedded within it. And it is a choice that has been made before. But in that choice, there is a forgetting that whatever it is presented to you from an artificial perspective is available to you within your own energetic being, in a true and authentic way. But it requires a deep trusting and a leap of faith into the trueness of who you are, into accepting and allowing yourself to fully be revealed in deep vulnerability of your own authentic self at the deepest level, to accept yourself in your true nature as an avatar, as a godlike frequency, as God itself. And yet, due to the inflammation, or perhaps your word would be information that has been so bombarded upon you and so integrated within you and so programmed to you that this can be quite a leap to take. And so it can be alluring and exciting to find an avenue that appears a bit easier to receive what is needed in order to make that quantum leap without fully owning your own divinity. And so some will choose to move in that direction. And ultimately, either direction leads eventually, as always, back to source, back to the origin of self. And as you are speaking and saying, there is no right or wrong decision. However, it is that the willingness to fully take complete responsibility for one's state of consciousness and to step over that threshold, as we speak it, into emerging with your pure divine self and an acceptance of that and the deepest level and at the truest level in the fullest and most awakened state allows you to have the capacity to do everything that is being presented to you from an artificial perspective exactly the same way, if not more, within your own self, with gifts that appear and seem miraculous and ways of being and perceptions and activities that appear completely out of the norm of the reality in which you've been in, but a capacity that has always been dormant and latent within you, in which in its revealing of it, you step fully into the trueness of who you are, emanating a complete awakened light being within the flesh of the form, still cloaked in matter, in a full state that is fully known of the truth of who it is that you are. And that opportunity is available to everyone at this time. It is a unique moment in which, with deep reflection and reverence and attunement to that vibration, the capacity, not alone, but collectively within community, with a willingness to see that divinity not only within your own self, but in the mirrored reflection of everyone and everything that you see everywhere, you step into that fullness, and it is that in which you are striving for at this time.
Do you see any potential collective initiation that will bring humanity together as one species in the coming years? You said that the next 3 years are the most rapid change that the species has ever seen in written history. So I'm wondering if there is an initiation that might bring us together, because right now it seems that there is a lot of separation in our beliefs and how we see each other. Will there be anything that will bring us even closer together, realizing that we're more alike than different than each other?
Yes, there is an energy that is approaching your planet that, when revealed and comes to light, will bring you collectively together as humans, as a way of uniting all of you and seeing the divinity within each other as one, as a common collective connection to something of a presence that is so magnificent and so miraculous and so beautiful that in the light of it, all of the mind of discrimination, of separation, of lack, of dis-ease, of a sense of identification with particular roles and belief systems will simply melt away. And from where it is that you are now, this seems unfathomable or impossible, but it is simply a slight change that will occur on an energetic level. It might appear that it would have to be an enormous shift, but it is not so big. It is like looking out into the distant stars with a telescope. And as you look out, you might see something, but you only have to change it just the tiniest bit in order to observe an entirely new star system, to open up into a reality that wasn't perceived before as you move it just a quarter of an inch or a millimeter. And it is that perspective in itself will only have to change that small amount around the globe collectively in order for there to be an opening within your own fields to see and feel this remembering. And so it is this energy as it approaches will bring such a sense of allness and such a sense of connected to your humanness that all of that which you have been fighting over and worrying about and dividing yourself from will simply no longer be an energy to place one's attention on, for your focus will be on something much larger.
How do we individually begin to start shifting that perspective right now in this moment?
We encourage you to love your enemy. Whatever belief system that you're holding on to, whatever ideology that you have, whatever way that you think you are right and another is wrong, to move into the frequency of allowing the possibility and the perspective that they too are filled with light, that they too are love, that they too, who perhaps is in this now moment doing something that is extraordinarily destructive, are simply deeply wounded at their core and are begging for the reception or receiving of love by another, which is you, which is themselves. And when you can find love for those that are even acting against humanity or delivering horrific acts, if you can move into a place of compassion for them and find the essence and the core of who it is that they are, hidden beneath the energies of the roles in which they are playing, or the ideas or the identification of who they think they are, because their wounds are so deep, and you can move beyond those wounds to the kernel and the essence and the light that is beneath it, and send and bring love to that space of that depth of that place, especially that in which you disagree with at the absolute core. When you can love that place there, the shackles of the illusion begin to disappear. And it all starts to crumble and cannot be held. The structures and the forms that have created this sense of separation no longer have the glue to stay in place, because there is nothing fighting against something else, but only loving it. And so all that is ever wanting to be received is love, for you are only seeking somewhere to be appreciated, to be seen, to be loved, and simultaneously to take that love and share it with another. And yet there are some that are so deeply identified with the role in which they are playing, and so far spiraled down into the density of their space of separation, that they no longer can find their own humanity. And so you must find it for them by finding its essence and its core and loving it. And so we understand that there is a pushing back against something in which one is against, but the pushing back of that just creates more division. It is when you can love it fully and completely, recognizing it is actually you, that the healing will occur. And to stand up in the face of it when action is required, not to participate in any way, whether that be in a thought or an action or a behavior that may be amplifying or supporting or giving energy to that in which one is against.
If you could design the education system of the new earth, what would children learn first?
Well, they would not be in a box. They would not sit in a chair, and they would not read a book. And they would be in nature, and they would be with the elements, and they would play with one another, and they would be silly, and they would laugh, and they would be in the rain, and they would be in the mud, and they would climb the trees, and they would listen to the songs of the birds, and they would rise up with their instruments, and they would dance, and they would play together, and they would recognize and share with each other when they saw sparks of something that one was gifted in, and they would encourage those gifts. And when those gifts started to rise and there was something in them that they were excited about, they would explore it, and then they would start to learn about it, and they would share it and encourage one another and see the gifts within each other. And then they would begin to play their song, their note that is their purpose, their divinity, their purpose for being here. And then they would all start to raise up and play their own individual notes that collectively would bring forth an orchestra of energy and a song of light. And that frequency of those beings would then create openings and spaces for new worlds and realities to be born. And the gentleness in their hearts would remain, and the openness to the remembering of who they are would remain open and clear. And it is through that that new worlds would be born. But it is not through the structure of the indoctrination of information in a hard chair in a boxed room with a closed window that the essence of one can explore their own knowing and find their truth. And that is why it takes so long for the adults after they have left this system to find their purpose, their calling, their note, their song, because they have been disconnected and cut off from it. And so when these systems that begin to dissolve and crumble across your globe, and all systems fall away from this way in the returning to the ancient and the indigenous cultures and the understanding of the truth and the reign that lies and dwells within each of you, that a new world will be born.
Do we know our song from the moment we're born? Or is it something that we need to, in a way, discover or remember as we go on in this life and in our physical bodies?
It is different. For some feel the resonance of that song immediately as it stays with them and guides them and doors open, and others it may require more active searching. But it is important to remember that it is not something that necessarily always appears immediately, that sometimes a struggle has to unfold in order for it to rise up and to present itself to you, that one must not just sit awaiting for it to appear, but to move forward in action toward what in which guides them or excites them or brings them joy, with confidence and truth that if they follow that passion, whatever it may be, even if it may not appear to be the alignment of their soul or their purpose, that it will bring them on that path and that merging will occur. But it does require active participation. It is not something in which one is to be complacent about or to wait for, but to actively move forward toward and with that brings them joy and excitement and fills their heart.
What is one universal law that humanity is ready to wield responsibly right now?
They are stepping into a space and a remembering to release the energy and the vibration at this time of victimhood. It is that in the releasing of this, they can step into their authenticity. And stepping into their authenticity is a frequency that will create a wave of planetary change for each individual to really simply and deeply look and reflect upon oneself and ask who it is that they are at their core, and to allow that to surface and to be free for all to see, regardless of criticism or judgment by another, or the idea that they should be something other than they are, or put on a mask to be something in order to prove or to be accepted. And it is in the releasing of that that the perpetuation of the cycles of perpetrator and victim no longer can stay alive, because that energy is no longer in alignment when one is in the truth of their own authenticity. It simply does not appear. And yet, when there is still one or a few that are those who are in power, who carry that vibration that is deeply out of balance, they can put forth and send force of energy into pockets and places. And in doing so, they perpetuate the vibration of the perpetrator and the victim. And then that cycle continues and continues and continues. And so it is necessary, as we were speaking before, to each individual find that in which they think they are right about, or something that they are against, and look at the energy and find a way to bring love to it. So the collapsing of that vibration and energetic pattern does not any longer need to recycle itself. And the energy that is acting out in that way can step into its own true, authentic nature.
What is the role of sacred union and partnership in this new era that we're heading into?
Well, it is a cliche in a sense to say it is love. And yet, what is love? Love that is unconditional, that is not codependent, a love that simply is a witness, and one that recognizes the divine in another truly, without expectation, with a willingness to be a container, a space, a witness to the authenticity of another for their full expression, in support of that, without an idea that another somehow should be different from the way that they are. And so that partnership is when one stops fixing or trying to make someone other than they are, but really loving them in any given moment fully and completely in the presence of who it is that they are, where they are in that moment. And that is not that easy, because often one feels that they could love another, or the relationship would be good if this happened or that person changed, or if only this was this way. But it is when all of that truly falls away and one can just be present in the witnessing of who they are and the completeness of them, and honoring them and seeing them fully, that the relationship flourishes and that the union comes from a place of truth.
When a master like Yeshua said, "I am that I am," what did he really mean by that statement?
There is nothing to it other than that. There is no personality matrix. There is no role. There is no identity. There is no ego. It is simply the essence, the return to the truth of one's divinity. I am that. I am. I am that. I am. And as you feel the resonance of that frequency, you remember your essence, your purity, your truth, who it is that you are, is that. It has always been that, and it will always be that. It is love. It is the I am that I am presence. It is I am that I am. It is not couched in anything. It has no identity. It isn't anything. It is the nothingness. It is the emptiness. It is the void. And simultaneously, it is everything all at once.
When we enter the void, what happens to our human self?
Well, the patterning is and always will remain. There is a holographic pattern of the energy of who you are now and all of the experiences in which you've had in this experience. And that vibration, that essence of you is eternal, as are and is your essence that returns to the void. And so the projection of that holographic frequency is always present and always available to all at any time, to attune to connect to remember, to receive information, to be of guidance from. But you, who you are, is never been that and never will be that. You identify with it in this now moment because you are here. And so you are cloaked in form and matter with the idea of who that is. And that is eternal, as are you. But your essence returns until it feels a calling. And then that calling is like an impulse. Sometimes it is like a sound, a feeling, a sensation, and it pulls you, and you are given birth again into another form, another frequency, another experience, in which the evolving of that is connected all through the quantum field, through a fabric of frequency, of energy, to that in which you have been before. It is all one, and it is continuous until that energy is no longer needed to operate in that particular function or way, and it dissolves as well, still remaining, and yet your essence returning back to the beginning, to the void, to the emptiness, until another impulse is called upon. And so it is a collective energy that is always remaining, like a library of sorts, a knowing, a wisdom that can be called upon. And those remaining in form from a particular lifetime can return to that memory, to that library, to that field, to that energy, and call upon you from that timeline. You are still there and accessible to others who are not even in the same timeline or reality or have left their body. But your presence and connection still remains for those who have the capacity to attune to such frequencies, and yet you may have already been born into another experience. But it is all ultimately the same, because your core essence that is projecting itself in infinite fragments and fractal patterns of energies, information, personalities, identities, and names always returns to the core, to the void, to the emptiness. And so it is in that nothingness that is everything. It is all happening at once, simultaneously. It cannot nor will ever be separated.
So could we say that our legacy that we leave behind after this human experience is just the holographic library of all the wisdom that we've accumulated in this lifetime that other humans can access when we're long gone and out of this realm?
Yes, and some legacies have more potency than others. So all of the legacies and all the imprints are accessible, but some great avatars, or those who have contributed in a way that they were operating at their authentic self from a place of service, to create a wave or a shift within the collective consciousness, have created a potency. The energy has been more consecrated in a sense, and so it carries more weight. And so its vibration has more energy, and it lives on, it dwells inside the collective field for longer periods of time if you are still operating in time, meaning the feeling and the vibration, the teachings, the wisdom, the knowing is so strong, so potent, so powerful that its holographic library of energy and information remains alive and awake for longer periods of time within the collective, where other energies might begin to fade more or disappear, not meaning that those energies are less important, but they are not as potent.
Raphael, is there any other message that you would really like us to anchor right now at this stage of where we are as a species?
Oh, we are asking of all of you to be gentle with yourselves and with everyone else, to really take your time to be present in each moment, to take perhaps what might be thought of as the high road when you speak, to choose your words and your thoughts carefully, to pay attention to what you are saying and what you are doing, to take responsibility and to focus on the evolution of your energetic being as a priority over perhaps other things on your to-do list. And by all means, to please find in your heart compassion, because it is needed deeply at this time on your planet, so that those who are acting in ways that appear at this time very harsh or difficult, or in ways in which they are promoting difficult things or war, that enough love can bombard their energies, their systems of these leaders, that they may soften and remember who they are and put down their weapons and return to their humanity and embrace one another and let go of this deep need to be right, and this idea that they know what is best, and this feeling that they are separate or different from another, that they may be able to look into the eyes of the children and see the light inside of them, that their hearts may soften and warm, and they may recognize that their actions and that in which they are doing is creating suffering. And it is only through the ability of others to love them in their acts that appear so horrific that their healing will take place, and that they will rest from the actions that they are perpetuating. For this brings great sadness to us where it is that we are, and we hope that enough love can be sent into the hearts of these leaders that they may begin to release these grips of control that they have on your planet, and that the little ones and the avatars and the beings of light will rise and take leadership moving forward to create a planet with more equality, love, and light. With that, we send to you all of our love and many blessings and much love and good day.
Much love. Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
How did that feel for you?
It felt good. I felt like there were some things that wanted to come through, or there were a few things that I couldn't quite bring in the way that I wanted to, but it felt good.
Do you remember at what points were those messages that wanted to come through?
I felt like, if I'm truly being authentic, there were some things that wanted to come in that felt like they would be too jarring for everyone to hear. Not in a negative way, but that maybe we weren't totally ready for yet.
Do you still feel the same way?
I I'm just I'm just I feel like we're just really on this choice point. And it's just so important, and it's not easy, but it's so important that we really follow our hearts, and that we do our very best to be tolerant of one another and our different perspectives, and that if we keep fueling this division and divide, that we're not going to end up in a good place. But that if we can really rise up past that, and I think we can, and I feel that we can, that we can really begin to heal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost feeling this energy come through of the recent shooting event that happened with Charlie Kirk, and how, that ensued and everything that's going on around that. It's a very highly charged event in the collective. And I think that might be why you're feeling that message is coming through. I don't know if it's related in any way.
Yeah, I think that that's just like a symptom. It's an example of another. It's just everywhere. It's everywhere, and so much division and hatred, and like these people are right and these are wrong, and it doesn't matter at all anymore what side we're on. Like we have to, like, when are we going to stop, and just see the divine in each other and love one another regardless of our ideologies, and just the wars that are happening. Like, it's just unbelievable to me that we're still doing that as a human race. It's heartbreaking. Like it's just heartbreaking. And there's a sense of helplessness around it. And at the same time, from the bigger spiritual perspective, and what Raphael keeps saying is just, it's do the hardest thing, which is when Raphael said it again today, whoever we disagree with or whatever side we think we're on, whether it be in the war or it be in politics or it be in anything, can we really see the other side's perspective? Can we really love them? Can we really go to the core of leaders that perhaps we don't agree with and find compassion in our heart? And I think if enough of us can do that and stop fueling these sides, that's the only way it's going to just start to disintegrate. Otherwise, it's just going to amplify.
Yeah. And I did ask Raphael at a certain point if they saw maybe a collective initiation moment where humanity would be brought closer together rather than more in this polarity that we're seeing amplified right now. And they said that there was an energy coming in, but didn't really specify what that energy might have been. I don't know if there's any specifics you want to go into there.
I think where I got in the way. It felt like it was galactic.
Yeah.
Yeah. That it was something so profound that it would shake us to the core, and we would just have to come together.
Yeah.
Not in a scary way, but in a human way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing it everywhere as well. There was the recent UAP hearing. There was this talk of the 3-eye Atlas asteroid, maybe alien mothership, whatever it is, coming our way.
Right.
When you tune into those energies, what do you feel? Because now it's becoming more prevalent. Like, I'm seeing news sources say there was an orb over the White House, and all these other things. And I would have never thought we were there 2 years ago.
No, they're prepping us, right? It's like they're preparing the collective to be able to receive something
So
and
unknown.
so unknown, but it's seeping into the consciousness as a possibility. And I was tuning in and asking Raphael about the A13 Atlas or whatever it's called. And and she was like, "Oh yeah, we're coming from the galactic core, bring all kinds of codes to the sun that'll be projected onto you, and we're going to be coming more and more of us. Like this isn't the last. Like we're going to see a lot of this coming in from stellar systems, uh, and maybe it is a comet, maybe it isn't, I don't know, but it appears that it's more than that, or at least it's carrying properties and elements and qualities different from our system that then we're going to be interfacing with that will affect us on a cellular level.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't foresee us going into the galactic stuff, but now that we're on the topic, um, I told you, I'm in Colombia right now. And back in, I think it was April, May. Yeah, around May, there was a village here in Bogota, and here in Colombia called Buga. And there was this sphere that they saw, and it hit like a light pole, and then it went down. And there's people can do some more of their own research on this, but it appears that this sphere, anti-gravity technology, inside it there are little holes that are fiber optics, so there's sensors to the outside world. There's there's substance within this sphere that is not made from Earth. So it's like more of these things are coming up, and we're it's the first maybe alien object that is in custody of the civilians, not of the government.
Wow.
So it's really big, and I mean that's why I just brought it up in case there was any intuitive insight as to why these like objects that are unknown to us are popping all over the all over the world. Like what's going on here?
Yeah, no, they're coming in because they're carrying all kinds of information, and I think they're slowly, energetically preparing us to make contact and to have a connection, and that would be so enormous if it came on a big enough scale that it was recognized by all, that would jar us enough into loving one another, I think. And stop this ridiculousness.
Yeah.
Like it's just ridiculousness. Like we
It's
have
like
enough for everybody, right? Enough food, enough water, enough money. Like we could all just be happy. Like it would just be nice. Like what is this craziness? It's
yeah.
just yeah, and they're here, and not only I think are they showing up in these ways, but they're showing up like awakening within us, like a whole nother seeding taking place.
And it's also the danger too of like waiting for this event to happen to bring humanity closer. And it's almost like if they were to come, their message would have to be so potent that it would just allow us to change the perspective and unite as a human family. And it's like, what would that message need to be for us to not go into fear and into unity? I'm like excited to see how it plays out, but
Yeah,
we'll
and maybe
see.
that's what so many people talk about is that split. Like how many people will perceive it as a loving energy, and that's the mirrored reflection of what it will be, and how many will perceive it as something frightening. And then will there be this? I mean, I hate this idea that there's this splitting because that keeps perpetuating this idea of more separation, or that some people, are in a higher frequency and some won't make that. I don't like any of that. At the same time, to me, it feels like that if enough of us can hold enough light, that it lifts the whole collective. Like we can all do it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody has
Yeah.
to be left anywhere.
Yeah. And Raphael did mention there will be some luring. That's the word they used of. Yeah, I think even especially with all the technological changes and evolutions, people will be more enticed to maybe give up certain humanity things to merge with these technologies. And that's maybe what they refer to as the artificial timeline. And at the end, it's just a choice that we're making. And maybe it's not like we're splitting, but it's definitely a choice that we're going to be coming up against pretty soon, probably within the next coming years.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really big one, and it'll be interesting. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to need to go down a whole AI track.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Many different philosophies on all of that, but I think ultimately it's just to keep remembering if whatever we're interfacing with, does it carry heart frequency or is it just information?
Yeah. And I pray that we have the discernment to know and recognize heart frequency. And I think we have this incredibly intelligent body to know what is truth and what isn't. And it's the heart as a guide to allow us to make the best decision for our evolution. And so I think it does start with the heart, like you mentioned.
Yeah, it's all about the heart and how it makes us feel. But even that, we have to be careful because we can hear something that makes us feel good. But if we close our eyes, what's the feeling we're getting, you know?
The
And then
intention.
the intention behind it, it's going to be a little tricky. And so discernment is probably going to be one of the most important things moving forward for everything, right? Because we won't know, is that true? Is that fake? Is that real? Is that AI? Is AI just consciousness pulling in from the quantum field? Is AI channeling? Is that ridiculous? Is it organic? Is it non-organic? Is it it's a lot of questions out there to be answered.
Yeah. But isn't it the most incredible time in history to be asking those questions, And that's why I love what I do. It's because, I'm not necessarily married to a certain belief or idea. I'm like a blank slate when I come into these conversations. And it's like, let me just ask and see what's coming up, because there's so many big topics coming up. AI, all these other things, extraterrestrial, politics, and, you never know what can arise with the unknown, which we're in right now. So we're collectively creating it.
We're collectively creating it, and it's really important not to identify too much with any of it as a strong belief and to stay open to the belief that I've had. Maybe a belief I've had my whole life that I see things one way. Maybe it's not that at all, right? Like a willingness to open up space to see new perspective is so important.
Yeah. It's like, can we be malleable enough to still be grounded in our authenticity with all the changes around us that are happening? That's the paradox.
Exactly. It's a lot. And I see that you're doing this deep dive with everybody. And that's a really wonderful platform. I hope a lot of people will do that, because as I was listening to that, it's so important that we're not just taking in information, but we're integrating the information, we're applying the information, and we're acting on the information, right? That we're actually growing and not just getting like a hit of, oh, I listened to that transmission, I feel good. Because that's good for a period of time, but that gets saturated. And then it's so important. So I'm really glad that you're doing that, and people should join and do that with you, so that they can take all this wisdom and knowledge and all these podcasts and all this stuff from everybody and integrate it into their own life and move forward, acting on it, and see the actual physical growth. Like, because if people don't see a change in their life or in their relationships or in their body or whatever, then they're not really receiving the information. They're just watching entertainment.
100%. Thank you for acknowledging that. And we're going to talk a little bit after this to bring you a little bit more into the deep dive, if that's something that aligns. And Kelly, as you know, as a seasoned guest on the podcast, we end every show with a segment called The Final Trio. some deep questions that we like to ask at the end. And before that, where would you send people to connect with your work, the beautiful transmissions that are coming through you? You have this community as well that you're working through these light codes, and where would you send people to connect with you?
Yeah, so it's the Angel Raphael. So just type it in, guys. The Angel Raphael. You can put Kelly after it. It's my website, YouTube, whatever. I'm there. I'm available.
Beautiful. And also your YouTube channel, which we'll link below. You're bringing through really powerful free messages for people with Raphael, and very needed at this time for sure.
Yeah. Anybody can join, and then they can ask Raphael their own questions, which is fun for people. They enjoy that. Yeah.
Beautiful. The final trio, the first one I had for you today is, what do you most want your children and your grandchildren to know about the way you approached this game of life?
So many things. Gosh. Just to be true to who they are and authentic, which is what I'm doing my very best to be of service to the planet, not to take it all so seriously either. To just enjoy, to be in the moment, to love one another, all those good things, to be creative, and to really savor those each other. Because it's like this, it's fleeting, it goes so fast. So take it all in. Yeah.
Take it all in. What has this path of walking with Angel Raphael taught you about being fully human and enjoying this experience?
Well, it's taught me how human I am. Just because I channel an angel doesn't mean that I'm not cranky and difficult and have all my problems like everybody else. There's a joke in our house because everything I do, we always say, love, love, love. And I'll be yelling at one of my kids and they'll be like, love, 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 Mom. Who's the angel now? So I think it's just showed me the humanness, and it's okay. We're all human. And we're just all doing the best we can, Yeah.
100%. And to end today, what blessing do you want to place on every listener's heart right now?
That they are beautiful and worthy and divine. And if they could just see what the angels see, they would know how amazing they are. And to just love themselves because they really are special.
Beautiful. Kelly, Kolodney, Angel Raphael, thank you so much again for the authenticity that you bring to this work, the reverence you have for it, the devotion that you have for it. I feel super blessed to be able to work with people that are so committed to this path and to their love for humanity. And I know we're going to have many, 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 many more of these conversations in the years to come. And I just can't wait because we're at the most exciting time of human history. So to be here together doing this with everyone also that's tuning in today, let's go. Let's go.
Let's do it. Everybody put on their seatbelts. We have quite a ride ahead, but we got this. We got this.
We got this.
Thank you for having me so much. So appreciate it. And love, love.
Love, love.